What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? It's your boy T,
Hey, it's your man B.
and you on the ride up. This is our PG County Basketball Edition. We got a special guest with us today.
PG.
My guy Kevin Jolley, Fairmont Heights. You know what I'm saying? It's good to have him on the show, and of course, we got our regular, our right hand, Bradley Real. What up, boy?
Ain't nothing. What's good, man?
Representing Parkdale today.
Yes, sir.
I'm torn because I went to two schools and they were both rivals with each other. So I went to Roosevelt and I went to Duval. So it was I went to rivals. They was both rivals. Well, one was like a big brother, and one was like the ugly stepchild. But I'm not gonna say which is which.
Man, we already know two about the ugly stepchild.
No, like I didn't need to say it. It spoke for itself, huh?
Yep.
That's crazy.
So I want to not want to before we start, I want to give our guest an introduction. My guy Kevin Jolley. It's a funny thing because though me and Kevin, I think Kevin's like within a year of apart age wise, but he came in a year after us as far as school. So I'm assuming you're because you was born in '82, but it was like after school year started, right?
Yep.
Right. So when we were going to the 8th grade, this kid who we'd never seen before. We just hearing about him because nobody talked about it. Our basketball team was all right. You don't really at the time. Middle school basketball wasn't a thing. Nobody really cared about middle school basketball. It was your boys and girls club, or if you was, you know what I'm saying. At the time, AAU wasn't even at its height at that time. It was basically boys and girls club at the time. But somehow, some way, they like, yeah, this kid Kevin Jolley, he coming to the school this year, and I'm like, who? And lo and behold, you had this 7th grader. At the time, I didn't know he was our age. I just thought it was just this young 11, 12-year-old kid who arrogant as fuck, arrogant as fuck. But the nigga could ball, right? And I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna tell you know what it is. It wasn't even that. You know what? Kevin had a bad reputation because of his homie, some short kid named Dominique that he came to school with. Dominique had this mouth.
That's my. He can't shut his ass up.
Dominique used to have this mouth, and I'm like, listen, I played intramurals basketball. I didn't play on the team. I'm like, bro, you can't beat me. How you talking smack, and you can't beat me?
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is when you the new kid on the block, and they had chips on their shoulder. But you know what I'm saying, it didn't take long for everybody to fall in love with Kevin because he was just when you're a solid dude, like a lot of the PG County basketball players are, it's hard not to, you know what I'm saying, to like them. So it didn't take long for everybody to start liking him. Hell, we even like Dominique. It was just one of those things. It was like it made it fun competition.
Right.
And when I looked up next, I'm going to a high school football game. My little cousin at the time, Nate, played for Fairmont Heights football. So I went to go watch Duval play Fairmont Heights football, and I'm like, wait. I'm looking at the information, and I see Kevin Jolley. I'm like, wait, Jolley go here? He's like, yeah. Because at the time, I only knew about one person that went to Fairmont on the squad, and that was Chris. Chris McCray, for y'all don't know, Chris McCray played with Fairmont alongside Mr. Kevin Jolley over here. So, and y'all know Chris went on to play for Maryland. My wish alma mater wasn't because I didn't have the grades. It's hard to go to college with a
Bucks
1.5.
4 years.
You can't go to college with a 1.5 GPA, especially not Maryland, and be 5'8". Because I'm black. My mama can't pay the dame to get me into school. But Kevin Jolley, what's up, big dog? Was that a long enough intro for you?
Oh man, you went back to middle school.
I have to. I it's a lineage thing. So now you went to Quinnipiac. I never knew how you pronounced that damn name.
Quinnipiac.
Quinnipiac. It was
only Division I school in America that starts with a Q.
When you went there, they were in the Northeast Conference.
Right.
Then now they moved over to the MAAC now.
They're in a MAC. They're in a MAC now.
So the Northeast Conference. The funny thing about that is, the one year I actually did good at school, and I was looking to go to a college and hopefully try to walk on as something. I don't know, just to try to get some type of scholarship. I was looking at like Fairleigh Dickinson in one of those schools, and that's the only way I even know about that that conference. So you went there for your junior and senior year, correct? Or you were on the team for your junior and senior year?
I went there my junior and senior year. I went right out of school. I went to St. Augustine's.
Okay.
Division II, HBCU.
Okay.
And then I went to Hutchinson Community College in Kansas, JUCO, the same conference that I coached in.
Okay.
That's like Hutch is like the Duke of JUCOs.
So I went. It's a good place to go.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and I ended up turning down Wichita State. Right.
It's tough. It be like that sometime, though. It be like that sometime.
They got good that year. They made it to Elite Eight that year. But I went to Quinnipiac because Rob Monroe from DC,
right,
from Maryland. Rob from DC. So Rob from DC, he was on the roster. He was a guard, and he recruited he recruited me. He recruited me well. I ended up going there. Well, he ended up being a finalist for the Bob Cousy Award, the best point guard in the country.
Okay.
Number 2 in the country, number 3 in the country, and scoring at like 27 points a game. Like, he did his thing there.
Well, I mean, it sounded like at least your path ended up taking you back to Kansas, because that's where you're located now, where you're a coach and doing great things. And one thing I love about basketball is that you can get so much from it, but you can also find so many ways to give back to it. You can. You hear stories of a lot of guys who never played on a team, but always played in the neighborhood, and everybody will say, "Man, he was better than this." And it's like, you know what? That don't mean shit. If you're not doing nothing to help the next person, then you worth squat. So when I see guys who could have who could have put their head down and weeped over not, making it to the highest levels as far as your dream career, when you find your path to be able to go and coach kids and coach other people be better, and have that next chance, it's beautiful to see that. So when I see that my friends and people who I grew up with who had similar mentalities as me, as far as who cared about other people, I see them now getting into professions, whether it be paid or volunteering, whether it be head coach, assistant coach, whatever the case would be, helping out people. And it's not like, oh, I want to just go help out just the good people. Now you taking on kids, right?
Yeah.
So you go
I was at the JUCO. I coached on the JUCO level. So I've gotten, and not saying like I have them, and they're not my guy, but I got about 7 pros right now. I got about, a few of them that come back to we'll be doing the summers. We had one guy, one of our guys, he went in, one of our centers, he went and worked out with the Lakers last year. He didn't end up making it with the Lakers and the Spurs. He come out, he did some training. A lot of guys in Europe, they're all over the place as far as, but like I said, my thing right now is the passion and the knowledge that I've known, that I've learned from our area, from me playing basketball, to give it on to the next guy, to not to make the mistakes that I've made and to do things better. Because regardless of all the success I've had with basketball, I think that I should have did a lot more with it when I was younger.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us, that's one of the things from being from a place like PG or Baltimore or any area that resembles us as far as the demographic, is when we don't have, all the means and all the, the buttons to push, we sort of have a regret, a slight regret looking back, like, man, I could be further, or I could have done this, I could have done that if I'd have just known this.
When it's not even like, it's just like when I'm out here, and I got my travel team, my Kansas Lady Prime girls, I got them, and even when I had my boys, and it's just like you say, it's our area where we grew up in. I have parents right now. What do you need? Who do I need to call? here's a $5,000 check. Here's $10,000 to put towards what you need to do. We didn't have that.
I wish.
We used to sit out there with buckets on the corner. We were fundraising with buckets on the corner trying to get money.
We used to be on 202.
202, right
We used to be on 202 over there by Addison Road, heavy. Yeah.
With the buckets and the signs, like, hey, can y'all please? Can you? But out here, man, it's a whole different, it's different where the resources are different. And I said, I've always wanted to, I want to make sure that I use all my resources, but we didn't have those resources like we do now. Like, I mean, like out here. And everybody always asks, like, why Kansas? I'm like, why not? First of all, it's cheap as hell to live here.
Hey, but and they got good people in Kansas. It's good people in Kansas.
And then we live in Wichita. Wichita is like the PG County. Like, Wichita is like the PG County, and then you got your little outskirts. But, I mean, it's a lot of, it's a lot of black folks here, a lot of white folks, Mexicans. It's just mixed up. It's a big pot of different races. But, I mean, why not, I would say, why not give back? Why not help? Like I said, like it's like I've done what I wanted to do with the game. I said my thing right now, I get joy out of seeing guys get success. That's what I get happy about.
So
when the guys call me and say, I'm playing over here, I'm going here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But I love it. Like,
listen, I didn't play on a high school team. Again, I didn't have the grades. You can't be on the team at a 1.5 GPA. And you can't sleep through classes and then go play basketball or football. Those things don't work out that way. But, I was always close to the game because of I had family and I had friends who were like either on a team, playing AAU, going to travel. I had one cousin who, Vince, who played for High Point. I had Rail, who played for Parkdale. His big brother played for Parkdale. I have, again, another cousin, I said Nathaniel, who played for Fairmont Heights, who ended up playing for Bowie State and actually ended up having a record at Bowie State before Isaac Redmond came and broke it the next year. But anyways, I mean, I'm just saying that's how it be, though. But what brought us here today is that we've been waiting for that Basketball County, It's in the Water documentary to drop on Showtime. And the first person I thought about, because we randomly do talk about sports, and I know you are a big KD supporter, and you go to bat for KD like nobody's business. And the sad thing about it is, you shouldn't have to. It's like KD, and I'm gonna say his name because I know I'm gonna get a reaction from this. KD and Wale get so much hate from their hometown.
Man, can we say niggas? Sorry,
yeah. Nigga. Yeah, go ahead. Get out of the way.
Man, they hate those two dudes for whatever reason, and it's crazy that I got a relationship with both the guys. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not best friends with either one of them, but right now, if me and my wife, we went up to KD's house. We set up, we played video games and hung out and chill after one of his games. So I mean, we're cool enough to where I'm going to sit to his house. I'm not going to say I talk to him every day. Wale, I've been out, I've gone to plenty of shows, and, I'm really good with his family. And, what, like, if you see me right now, he say, what up, y'all? So, I mean, those guys are, and they're genuinely good guys. Like, they're cool as hell, like, laid back to the point where it's like, you wouldn't even know that this dude is a superstar if he wasn't who he was, if you didn't know his name. But I don't know why. Everybody, niggas at home, love to hate niggas at home. Like, it's crazy. I don't know why. Or niggas from home.
I've had reasons to have animus opinions about both of them. Okay. Now, because this is not about basketball. I'm gonna get Wale out the way first, because I was also an aspiring rapper who had dreadlocks, who, and I had a problem with, things that were superficial, and I ended up letting them go because I hated the fact that I'm a homer and I didn't root for somebody who's a homer. So I let it go, even though I didn't feel like he was from here. He was from, a different county. He was from Oak County, but whatever. Listen, if he want to put us on and everybody show him love, then I let it go. But KD, on the other hand, because I wanted him to come here. So I felt some type of way about that.
But
I did.
Think about this. Like, KD's KD, right? He lived like he's a mega star. He's not a superstar. He's a mega star.
Absolutely.
Right now, in any place that he goes, he can't be who he wants to be, because all Imagine it being at home. Because you got everybody that knows everybody that wants to. Everybody's on his line. Everybody's blowing him up. Everybody's that is trying to go to his houses. It's like, I need to be away. Everybody can't afford to get on the plane.
No, I definitely understood him not coming here. I mean, aside from the fact that you look at the roster, it's like outside of you need role players and you don't have the role players to compete on the highest level. He can't. He's being compared to LeBron and Kawhi. The Wizards didn't have the roster that would help him overturn those dudes. So I get it.
He's the best. He's the best player in the NBA, man.
I mean, there you have it.
Not close. He's the best player in the NBA.
Listen, people going to have opinions one way or the other, whether it's LeBron, whether it's Kawhi. I mean, now it's Giannis. He's like the most unstoppable guy. I mean, as Kevin Hart, as James Harden said, I wish I could be 7 foot and dunk the ball.
He's I know, right? Kev's the best. He's the most skilled guy that I've seen since Kobe.
So my gripe with KD was I don't mind. I would have liked for him to at least give the facade that he was thinking about coming to the Wizards.
Nah, why? I want to come home.
Why? I'm gonna tell you. This is why.
I live in Kansas.
No. This is why. And people only got on KD's back, and I thought this was crazy. People only got on KD's back, but it's been so many other players. It's been so many other players from PG who, in their prime, don't think twice about coming to DC, and that's fine. But I feel like if he'd endorsed them or mentioned, maybe going, I think it might have helped. I think it might have helped them get other free agents come. I'm saying come into town.
We got one of the most appealing cities to come and play in, but think about it, like we got a curse. There's a curse going there.
Do we? We just got rid of it. We got rid of it last year. The curse was called Ernie Garfield.
At one point we had Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace, and Juwan Howard.
We shouldn't have though.
But we have a curse.
We should have never drafted Rasheed Wallace.
It's too much partying. It's too many females. It's too much stuff that's going to take you. John Wall down at the Rose Club partying on. It's too much. It's too much of like.
Have you been to the Rose Bar before?
Huh?
Have you been to the Rose Bar before?
Nah, man. I come home sparingly.
A lot of people haven't been to the Rose Bar. I mean, maybe it's just that attractive.
Man, last time we came home, shout out my man Kenny Mundy, man. We came home. We went to Martini's to a go-go.
Okay.
My wife hates it, dude. She's like, we listen to it in the car. She's like, oh, turn it off. And then I said, you gotta see it. We went to it. She's like, oh God, this is cool.
Oh, for real? I was angry at the beginning of this. Like, I know this not gonna be the last one.
A lot of sorry. So Real, being as though you didn't, your childhood, you grew up in other states, but then you came to the PGA right when it's around time to start high school, but you weren't really on the basketball side of things, but you were still part of the organized sports, and I feel like there's a lot of ties with it, especially when you were a two-sport athlete. What are one of the things that you say that you definitely learned about PG County basketball from watching the documentary last night?
PG County definitely slept on. Like, even though PG County is a small area, we have a lot of athletes, man. A lot of athletes. I just feel like, as kind of like what I touched on, we just don't reach our full potential, you know what I'm saying? Just because we don't have necessary resources or like coaches may not put us or market us enough so we can go D1, even though we have the talent and things of that nature. But as far as the talent, I think we can bump, you know what I'm saying, with like pretty much anybody in this nation, though. There's a lot of talent here.
I mean, it's been shown. That's one. The talent level has been shown based on the fact that we've had a good amount of players in the league. I think the biggest hurdle, if that's the right word to use, is the fact that we probably just haven't had, outside of KD, we've never had like a superstar come from PG. PG, because if you look at the type of players that come from PG that make it in the league, it's scrappy, tough, you know what I'm saying, fundamentally sound players. And those are generally, those are you like role players. So
we got
PG.
Delonte West. D West. Yes. Man,
we spoke about Delonte West on our mental health episode.
Man, Delonte West.
As a high school baller, nasty.
Man, as a college, you got to think he left out of his sophomore year.
Nasty.
He did 4 years. He left out of his sophomore year. Delonte West. We can say we want to, right?
Yeah.
Man, Delonte got blackballed out of the NBA.
Did he get blackballed or did he blackball himself?
No, he didn't blackball himself. How did he blackball himself?
Bad decisions. Sometimes it's
Not
like
bad
that.
Decisions. We already know the decision that kicked him out of the NBA.
That was a bad decision.
That's why is it a bad decision?
Hey, listen. It's how many players in the NBA are there? How many? It's like 2,000 players. There's 9.
Throw it at me, I'm a catch.
Don't count yourself. If he don't count himself, that's 19,998 other moms that he can mess
throw
with.
Throw it at me, I'm a catch it. I ain't got bad hands, but that's the reason why Delonte was out of the league. And it's like, I don't care what nobody says. He got blackballed. Delonte was averaging 14 points a game, 15 points a game. But he can't get a job.
D was nasty. Man, listen.
Come on,
D
man. Like it was
nasty.
That's part of my hate, not hatred, but how my ill will towards the guy. Because it's like, this is hometown. This is a guy that I played with, a guy I grew up with, a guy that I know. You're messing with a guy's livelihood because
we on the ride up, and on the ride up we don't give a fuck. We talking about Delonte West is blackballed because he beat LeBron James' moms. That's what we talking about here.
That's the reason why he was out of the league. They want to put up all these because of this, because of that. Come on, man. Like even if it's not true, the rumor makes it bad.
Yeah.
The rumor makes it bad. So, bye. Get out of here. So, I bet you LeBron James did what LeBron James does. I'm going to go. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. All right, he's not in here no more. Because there was no way in hell because his stat-wise, he was a league, but he was still been But outside of that, come on, man. Speaking on Delonte, man, Roosevelt had. Think about it. Y'all. I said, I'm a basketball guy.
Go ahead.
Roosevelt had. Let me think. They had like 5 NBA players on one roster.
They did.
Alpha Bangor, Delonte Holland, Eddie Basden, Delonte West, and then I'm gonna go. They had what's big name? Victor. I can't even. Victor Oladipo.
Yep.
He played overseas. They had Gordon Claver that played overseas. They had a young kid that came after them. That I don't know him because he's a little bit younger than me. That plays overseas. They had 8 or 9 guys. It's like that's perfect pros. That's it. When people talk about, I love the Mathis because the Mathis is going to get the best guys because they're going to recruit. But
they recruit.
School wise, I don't know. Roosevelt was.
That's the thing. That's
the place.
I don't. And I wish they'd say this in the documentary, but a lot of guys who make it to the league and get connected, they go to these private schools and they get transferred. Yo, Eleanor Roosevelt is a public. Now, I do think they have the science and tech program to get people out of their school zone to come to their school. I know because I was one of them.
That's one thing I just learned over here. I got programs at my school that I can get people to come to because they don't have them at the other schools.
I was one of them, but either still, it's like, it's still a public school. So that means, and the difference is public schools, regardless of if you're getting good players or not, it's still public money versus that private money. And it's a whole different ball game.
It's a ball game. Yeah.
So
I think when last on a documentary last night, they should have hit on because they talked about the PG Jaguars a lot. And a bunch of us played for the Jaguars.
Right.
That was my first team that I've ever played for. But they didn't talk about Jimmy Rogers, man. Jimmy was Curtis Malone before Curtis Malone. They didn't talk about Joyce Tillman, who started Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
That was my mama. Like I talked to her as a grown man, as an adult.
Yeah.
Like we talk frequently, and I said, and then that's it because I think the documentary was more headed towards the guys that was in the tens. It wasn't back. Let's go all the way back because if you go all the way back, we're gonna need one of the Michael Jordan series. We're gonna need
and I think that's what it was. I think
you're gonna go all the way back, but I mean, the Jaguars helped a lot of guys. But I wish in that documentary, at least give the credit to the people who started it.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Rogers, man, and then Joyce Tillman and PK Martin, the guys who they were footwork. I remember like they gave me my first shot. I was trash. I was big trash. No, I was just big and athletic, but I couldn't play a basket. I couldn't like right now. I wouldn't recruit him if I go and watch myself at 7th grade. Right now,
yes, you would.
Oh, he has upside.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yes, you would.
But they
bro, how tall were you in the 7th grade?
I was only like 5. I was only like 6 feet.
You were 6 feet in the 7th grade.
Yeah,
so
I only grew 5 more inches after that.
But the thing about it is you don't know that. So if I got a kid that I can bring to my team at 12 years old, that's 6 feet. I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna train him as a guard, but by his senior year, he might end up being a center, like Anthony Davis.
That was the best thing ever for me to happen. To leave Parkdale to go to Fairmont, because Coach Wade came in and said, you know what? Hey, you're gonna be my point guard. He said, I don't care how big you are, how many mistakes you make. He said, you're gonna learn how to play the point guard position. I went from playing center my whole life to playing point guard in 1 year. And then, the story was my story is what it was. Like, committed to Notre Dame as a junior, tore my ACL, and Capital Classic MVP of the preliminary game, and all met, and it was what it was. Like it was a great fun ride. Like I enjoyed the hell.
What was it like being in the backcourt with Chris?
Man, he's one of the best players I ever seen, dude. Like I said, and regardless of whatever you say, and
dog,
people like to throw shade. Man, Chris could play basketball. Man, he was a 6'6" great shooting guard who learned how to play defense when he got to Maryland, and learned how to play and then I used to always give him shit like, man, what? You ain't shooting the ball at Maryland. But not knowing when you get to a Division I school, man, that's not your job sometimes. You gotta learn your role. But man, Chris McCray is one of the best guys I've ever. Like we joke about it to this day right now. Like my wife knows his wife, he knows my kids know his kids. Man, it's like Batman and Robin. We always say who was Batman and who was Robin.
I feel like that was.
I was Batman, regardless.
I feel like one of the things that was missing from the documentary, I think length-wise, I think because they were time constrained, unless they were going to do, like you said, like a mini series of it, they had to like limit the span. But I mean, because my thing is, I think they drove the point home to people who don't know about PG County. Like if you're not from here, and you just think, you don't think about it because you don't have a bunch of stars.
Baltimore. And that's right.
Yeah, so
being a person that's from there, that's always away. They like, where you from? I'm like, I lived in Riverdale. It's in Maryland. They be like, oh, Baltimore? Like, hell no. Oh,
because
DC. I'm like, no, not DC. But I say, no, we right in between both of them.
It's DC. It's basically DC. Our generation is basically DC because our parents were DC. So we were raised under DC ethics.
Yep.
But,
I was actually born there. Like I was born in DC, born and raised Southeast DC. I lived in Benton Park for my first 10 years. My first
Howard University.
Of life, I lived in Benton Park. So I love DC, but I say my bulk and what I've learned my basketball from was PG County. I lived in Riverdale.
I thought that they could have done a better job at expanding. I feel like they only focused on DeMatha for the most part. Which is weird because Katie didn't go to DeMatha.
I think they shot at the 10s. This is that 10 class. The 10 like.
Yeah, because they had a lot of people on that team.
Yeah,
the Grant boys.
Yeah, so I think I think it wasn't more that they didn't want to give everybody love because they're like if you want to, it's too many people to give love. It's too many mofos.
I want to ask Rail, what was some of the better points that you liked about the documentary, Rail? Did you find a more like it maybe like more of the people from our county, like, you know, wow, I didn't really think about that guy or this guy, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like because like he said, like I didn't focus on the math because my thing is I like the guys who played for schools that were public schools that didn't necessarily play for hyped teams and they really balled versus you know a DeMatha. I mean, listen, they had guys who are in the league right now who came off the bench. That's how deep DeMatha was.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. That's how deep they were. So when we talk about PG sports, it's a beautiful thing to see that we got a chance to get spotlighted, you know, and I don't care that it took for a guy like KD to be, I'm saying, the megastar he is, to be able to give the platform to do it, you know. But I also thought that a guy like Quin Cook, his story being told, really, I'm saying, it really, I'm saying, hit home as a guy who was a good high school player, you know, went to college and was a solid college player, but didn't get drafted, but then kept on. He didn't give up, and now he has a ring, and now he possibly could have been on his way to get another ring with the Lakers, you know, and he seems like he will be a guy that'll be in the league for a good while, you know. So when don't you know, I was actually surprised that they didn't use a DC artist as the ending credits. Is that weird to me that I noticed that? I mean, because I always pay attention to music that people use in documentaries and such. So I was a little shocked that they didn't have one of the artists, whether it be Wale or Shy or Trail or Light Show or even Ari, you know what I'm saying, singing on the hook. They ended up going with a record by A$AP Ferg, and I thought that was interesting. But man, I learned a lot. Like to see the black and white video and them playing against Power with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm like, yo, who wants to play against? They won 70 straight games. No wonder. This Bama was 7 feet tall since he was 10.
Right. All you had to do was pass the ball. He's right under the rim. And
he was actually skilled though. But imagine being 7 feet your whole year. So some of these, when you see some of these guys in the league, or you see some of these people who are just tall, and you hear they say that quote unquote tall for no reason, it's because they had a growth spurt and didn't train, you know what I'm saying, for that growth spurt, so they don't know what to do with it. So it's like they get to be, my junior year I grew to be 6'11", but I was 6'1", but I didn't train for it, and then they out of shape and they big, and then we should play basketball. Right. Okay, I'll play basketball. So now they only have like 2 years before they go to college, and they're getting drafted not because they're skilled, but because they're just bigger than everybody. I mean, the average center for most of the teams be like in college be like 6'6". You look at some of these rosters in college, and their center will real live be 6'5", and that's real talk. And you know they're not gonna win. So when you got a guy like Lou Alcindor who looked like he was probably 6'10" since 12. I mean, he just looked like he was born tall. So he already had that, right? So he had already embraced it. And then they squad just looked like they was nasty. And for them to, for the DeMatha team that beat them, that's pretty good, man. It was pretty good to see.
Well, you know, I think I feel like they pretty much focus on DeMatha just because a lot of people are familiar with that particular high school.
Yeah.
Like, we, as, you know, local, you know, the people that grew up in PG County or even DC or some parts of Virginia, like, we know the Eleanor Roosevelt, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know the Flowers, the Wise, those schools that have a big name. But people, you know, say, like, who's probably watching that documentary from LA and stuff like that, they don't know who these high schools are, you know? And I think that's why they pretty much, you know, connected everything to DeMatha. Even though it would have been a good look, you know what I'm saying, even get some people familiar with some of these high schools, you know, that actually have good ballers. But I think that's the reason why they went that route, though.
and they definitely stuck to it being strictly PG. They could have
Right.
expanded on it, but like I said, I think if they were going to expand on it, then it would have had to have been a
Mm-hmm.
bigger platform than just
Right.
that hour or so that the documentary was. But
Right.
I mean, all in all, man, watching it, all I could do, it made me proud. And then they shed light on Go-Go, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was dope. And they didn't waste time necessarily getting into the bands, but they just about the connection to the sound, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was dope. Uh, and I think one of the things they did was they didn't necessarily compete with other states. Like, New York is popular for being a great street ball area and
Right.
having a lot of guys they get a lot of point guards out of there who put the ball on the ground, who got nice handles, you
Right.
know. But a lot of those guys aren't necessarily the most fundamentally sound guys who make the league and become role players. They tend to be the guys who can dribble, and then, you know, what are they doing with the ball after that? And it's a few of them in the league now. Kyrie's one of them. Great ball handler who can, even though I think he shoots the ball a little too late in the shot clock, but he could be a sniper when he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
Kemba Walker, another one. Even though he's only like 6'1" and he's just small, like a Dame Lillard of those guys, but that boy can put the ball in the ground, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a sniper.
Right.
I mean, them dudes will shoot your eyes out. But I mean, it was great to watch. It was great to watch the documentary, and I felt good about it. It made me feel like, man, that's why I had to put my hat on. Y'all see that hat? For those who are just listening on Anchor or Spotify or Apple or Google Music or any other lovely platforms that you might be listening to our podcast on, if you're just listening to us on the Cook Up Radio, if you're just listening to us and you're not watching it, I am wearing a hat that says PG County Veteran. Why? Because I'm 37 and I ain't been nowhere but PG or DC, which is basically one and all my
Yes,
entire
sir.
life, all around the place. When you come up in a single parent home, you get to move around a lot. So I got to move around. That's why I make sure I rep PG and I don't really rep no particular neighborhood, because I lived in so many of them. It would be asinine of me to be like, oh, I'm with this crew, or I'm with that crew. I'm like, wait, you was just with this crew last week. Well, my
Right.
mom, we got kicked out, so I had no choice but to move. You know what I'm saying? But no, it was a great documentary. Big respect to Kevin Durant, Quin Cook, Victor Oladipo for putting together a great project. Yeah, nobody's perfect, and who's to say this is the end of the road? They may have another one down the line that
Right.
expands upon what they were talking about, what they were trying to do. I hope we get to see a football one. The funny thing is, they had Navarro Bowman.
Yeah.
He's a football player,
Yeah.
but he was so ingrained in PG sports that he
Mm-hmm.
made it on the documentary. That's how major he is. And we got some guys on the. Listen, I get it. We're not Florida, we're not
Mm-hmm.
California, because we're not. Those states are bigger than ours, so naturally you're gonna have more people and more space for facilities. Basketball is easy. You don't need this. You don't need this much. You just need 94 feet that make a full court. You need a whole lot more to put a bunch of football fields, and you can't. So the dynamic is different. But for our size of our state, being one of the smallest states in the country,
Mm-hmm.
we produce a lot of good talent that
Right.
end up going to the league. Navarro, it was unfortunate to see that guy, what I'm saying, had that bad injury. They looked like they might have been on their way to going to the Super Bowl that year too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a bad injury. Sean Merriman, another guy who had had bad injuries, just ended up taking him out of there a little soon. But we had some guys who played some good years in the NFL. So we produced a lot. And like I said, my thing is, I like seeing people who give back. Don't just be a player and then, ride off in the sunset. What are you doing? Whether or not you KD with millions of dollars who can come and build, foundations, or whether you just played AAU or you played in a D2 college, whether football, basketball. Yo, when you have a son or daughter, hopefully I can see you coaching one day. Like I feel like you got knowledge that you can bring to the table that might make that next player just good enough to, change his family's life. You know what I'm saying? And that, like, you have a wealth of knowledge. Why not pass it forward? Like a guy like me, if a guy like me, I would love to, but there's certain nuances about the politics of organized sports that I won't know. So I'm like, a guy like me would be, I would be, I'm saying, at a disadvantage when it comes to competing against other people because they would have more tapped in resources. If I go to a boys and girls club to want to coach, if it's available for me to coach, they're probably not any good because all the good ones are taken up by, seasoned veteran coaches, or they got lineage. So, okay, I'm coaching it, and when I retire, I'm passing it down to this person. Right. They don't really have who's the best candidate type of thing. So I'd have to go and either make a team with a bunch of guys who didn't think they can play, or land a team who just are at bottom of the barrel. And the thing about it is, I'm cool with it because I feel like even like all I need, if I have just one kid that can, now make it to D1 or D2 or even D3, whereas before they wouldn't have done any of that because they didn't believe in themselves, I'll take that opportunity. I would love to do that, so I know that the guys like yourself, people who've played with you, can have those type of effects on people, So
football actually, or not even just football, but sports in general saves lives, bro. Because like you grew
absolutely.
Up, I'm pretty sure you grew up in rough areas and things of that nature. Like if people didn't have sports in their life, bro, they probably be on the block doing a whole bunch of reckless stuff they didn't have any business doing, man. So that's another thing that I feel like that's important, man. We use to start foundations and different boys and girls clubs for kids, man. Just give them something to do, keep their mind off of things they don't need to be falling down,
I think that was one of the good things they talked about in the documentary last night was like, yo, these streets ain't sweet. I don't care whether or not you bout it or not. Like you mess around to get tested on the wrong day because I'm saying it's not safe. Like it's just not for nobody.
Right.
And it don't matter whether or not you got money, whether or not you poor, whether you know cool, whether you are unknown, walking down the wrong street, the wrong day, the wrong time, it might end your life, or it may cause you to have to take somebody else's life. That's just a reality growing up because we don't have anything to distract us from being stupid. So, it was football or basketball, and they talk about a lot of these facilities. That's new. Let's be clear. That's new. That's not how it's always been. It hasn't always been a beacon for a bunch of. They literally had, like they would tell you, if you weren't good, you were SOL because you only got one chance. You only got one chance. You got one chance. If you weren't good and you got on the court and you stunk it up, you'd be waiting. And so the best chance you got is playing in the area where they had courts, and not just one or two courts. They had like 3 or 4 courts so that the scrubs can go play against the other scrubs. But if you was on the A or B courts playing against the big dogs, you only had one chance. And by one chance, what they didn't make it out, what they didn't say in that documentary is that one chance wasn't just today. If you played on Monday and you was trash, don't come back on Saturday. Don't come back on Tuesday. You gotta wait like a month. You gotta wait it out. You gotta go sneak somewhere else, practice, get your heart, because it's about heart. I can tell you like this. The one thing I learned about playing basketball street ball or wherever, it's about heart. Like, yeah, because if you don't have the heart, because you won't play on a court with dogs unless you think you can, right? So it's not about the skill. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got the heart, then you're going to doubt yourself. And once you start doubting yourself and thinking, okay, if I don't make this shot, they're going to start. And trust me, it's guys out there who like will berate you. Berate you. You miss a shot, you late on a pass, You didn't make that cut. You didn't box out. You got racked. You didn't press up anything. Listen, it only take one time. They already decided. if you new to the court and they tell you, listen, you checking main man. If they don't know you, you probably not even checking the best person. You probably checking the worst person on the other team if they picked you up just to play with you, right? They're gonna tell you, listen, check da 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 da. All you gotta do is this. If you fail to do that simple task, don't come back. Don't come back. And I tell you what, the only way you could come back is if somehow you got another 4 that roll with you and they came with you and now y'all on the court. But y'all better be there first.
But more than likely, bro, like you said, more than likely everybody already got their crew. They know who they running with. They out there early, bro.
Early. What they'll do is the stars will come out there and they'll sit. You try to find out who you wait on the side trying to put a team together or who got next. And he be like, hey, you trying to run? He like, nah, I'm good. And he be good for a whole hour. He'll sit out there for a whole hour waiting for that 5th to come. 4 of them there, they just scattered around. Nah, I'm good. Oh, I'm good. They don't even come out their bath. They don't even come out of they work clothes yet. They still got work clothes on. They still got their Costco uniforms on. They still got their McDonald's hat on. They playing they incognito. That's what they'll do. And then when you like, then when they finally, that 5th person come, all of a sudden them Bama's them got breakaways. They slap the legs. Now it's on the shorts and Jordans. Like, wait a minute. I thought you wasn't rocking.
The whole time is like like on the park, bro, on 2K. Bro, if you got a brown shirt,
exactly
bro,
like the park.
Court, bro. I'm not playing with you, bro. I'm trying to run this.
No randoms. Yo, and the ones who got reputations, they ain't running with no random. Like it's just like the park. If you got a good rep and you like doing YouTube videos and you doing a lot of shit talking, you not running with no randoms unless you that bad, you that dope with it that you know even with a random you can win, or you playing because you want to like you shooting if you want to utilize that one time just as, like if I test yourself, but it's exactly the same. Bama's would not. Now I'm gonna go and step off. Now I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do the shoot for an hour by you and run around and laugh at your shoes.
It'd be a 99 overall, 60 hop on. I'm like, nah, fam, I'm good, bro.
They'll do that all day long, and then their man's coming like, oh, now you want squash now.
Yep.
This another tactic that I used to love when it came to playing pickup ball is if you had next and they wanted next, they'll look and see if you like, hey, who you got next? Who you got on your squad? And if you only had one guy, like they would literally fit it in. Like if they got 3 with them, all right, so yeah, hey, pick him up, AKA, yo, that's my squad right there. So all you need is one more. And then you just pick that last person off whoever lost. Mm-hmm. Unless that's a whole squad. And you got, see, this is the thing people don't know. Well, they don't pay attention to because they were so thirsty. It's all about politics when it comes to basketball. I'm trying to tell you. Because what will happen is if I got a squad and we lost and you pick one of us up, we going to get our buckets, but we're not going to win the game. But you don't know that because you can disguise hard play. You can disguise effort. But when it count the most, you just let a point go, let another point go. But then all of a sudden, when we lost, you the only one back on the court with your squad again. But Bamas don't think about it. they don't be thinking about it, man.
Just
they
like
really don't.
White man can't jump, bro. Hustling people, dog.
I mean, you got because it's all about rap. That's why. See, white man can't jump. That was about money. I mean, reputation was involved, but it was basically hustling for money. Whereas in real life, it's about strictly reputation, and Bamas just don't want to get off the court. They want to be able like, yeah, man, I've been running 5 games straight.
That's facts.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a badge of honor, and I definitely appreciate it. But man, it's a doggy dog world out here sometimes. You feel me? I'm saying it's a doggy dog world out here.
Hey, bro.
So I had some technical difficulties. My bad. battery died on me. Did y'all talk about? Did y'all actually like? I mean, I know Rail did like chat whatever, but how did y'all like directly feel about the? Did it reflect PG or how do y'all?
I think well. So what we talked about was that we all liked the documentary. We just felt like because of the time constraint, they weren't able to fit in as much stuff as we probably would have liked as far as like the radius outside of just the Matha and KD. It wasn't, I think the only thing the only reason they went to Eleanor Roosevelt was because of who played there. And that was Lynn. Lynn played for Roosevelt.
Mm-hmm.
So they brushed up on Lynn Bias and talked about how devastating his death still is to the day as far as the county, the whole area. We still talk about Lynn Bias to this day. Like, man, if only Lynn Bias. And the thing about it, he would have went to the Celtics, so he would have definitely been on a team because Ray Auerbach already had a squad that would have been ready to compete again.
They would have won a couple more championships.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they had Larry was on the back end of his prime, but still a quality player. They were still competing for championships. If they would have got him within a year, even if probably would have been right there that year. But at least one year in the league. Just that dude's physique alone, just physical ability of Len Bias was just crazy, right? So imagine, playing PG, then going to Maryland, and he even said it before. While he was getting interviewed, Len Bias said how he developed every year. So you add that to getting coached by Ray Auerbach and being around greatness like Larry Bird, he would have been a problem.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. He's like the KD that never was. So it's like that. His ghost is like over PG. It's been over PG for 35 years or so, and it's crazy. They didn't get into like any DC assault, nothing like that, right? Because a lot of PG, was on DC assault.
They got into DC assault.
Okay. So yeah, nah, man. They put
a spotlight on Jaguars.
Between DC and PG, like that together can you can make a 5-part series on, you know what I mean? But
all right. But I feel like it was a good introduction to what PG County is about. Of course, there's a lot more that we can talk about, especially within the DC area also, but it was a good introduction, of how PG County came about, for the outside world. Anybody that's outside the DMV.
It's dope because, like, just on the strength of, if I say I'm from PG County, I'm in Philadelphia now, somebody gonna know what it is.
Yes, sir.
To some extent. So it's like PG County. I was like, oh, you from Baltimore? No.
Nah.
You know what I mean? So that's dope. Shout out to KD for putting that together, man. It's you're putting a spotlight on the basketball, especially, is just a beautiful thing. Because it was growing up, it even though I wasn't any good at it, I mean, at some point I was all right, but it's still the culture of it. Like, that's what we did. We played ball before school. We played football. We played basketball. We played after school. We played on Saturday. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's dope that he put it to the forefront for the elite players that grew up out of that.
Yeah, man. Is T still with us?
Y'all, he probably on me. Man, I wish I caught it because I've been watching. Well, I watched the last episode of Last Dance.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have enough time to do both.
Oh yeah, man. It's definitely a good documentary.
Yeah, because I don't have to.
Yeah, and another thing they touched on was the head coach for the DC assault. How he got charged, for drugs and stuff like that. But one thing I will say about this area is, like, we ride for the people, who who's pretty much like the father to us, you know, the big father role. I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy how he went down and everything. I never knew the guy, so I don't want to say he's a bad person or anything like that. But from looking at the documentary, it seemed like he did a lot of great things for a lot of young black males and just helping the single moms out and things of that nature, man. So I definitely feel like that was a good topic that they touched on.
Yeah, shout out to the founder of DC Assault. Like everybody who talks about him and knew him personally, like knows about him, but they don't say a bad word about him. Never heard of him.
Because they didn't know. That's one thing they talk about in the documentary. It's like, and I honestly believe him. Like, yo, you a kid and you got a guy preaching one thing. We've seen a lot of times where some people have these secrets that you just don't know about. So, you know, if I don't have a reason to suspect you, then why am I just going to suspect you? If I've seen you touch everybody's life in a positive manner, why would I just think that you necessarily doing something illegal on the other side? You know what I'm saying? So it was one thing. Oh, one thing I liked about it was I liked the fact that they gave Bees a spotlight. Bees definitely deserved a spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Coming out of PG.
Absolutely.
Bees was a dog.
He was the man that got Gary Williams out of Maryland when whoever from Kansas State bribed him to go to Kansas State. Gary Williams was like, man, fuck this. I mean, I'm out of here. so and he was that nice. He was that nice, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, shout out to
you think it was just him? I mean, or maybe it was just he was the final straw.
Yeah, he was the straw to put the camera back.
Was it him or was it Lance?
I think it was Bees.
I think it was a combination of Bees, Lance, because both of those guys seem like they might have been on their way to coming here, especially Lance.
And also, it was when Stoglin was a headache, so that was the other reason. But yeah, it was recruiting wasn't Gary's thing, especially, you know what I mean. If you paying guys to come in, the high school bounds was paying guys to come in. I mean, so of course the college was going to pay everybody, and you hear Duke in the middle of it. So,
and or was it? Or would you say it was Gilchrist might have been the last straw for Gary? But you know, it was a great thing to watch, and I can't wait to more people get to see it, because at some point it has to have a bigger platform than just Showtime, because not everybody subscribes to Showtime. I'm sure it'll be leaked and spread out. It'll probably be on the ABA TV somewhere, you know, so other people can see it.
Right.
And the good thing is, when the season comes back around in NBA, it's like now you have a more of a spotlight on these guys, and it might end up helping more guys get to not necessarily the NBA, but that guy who was going to go D2 might go D1 now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? A guy who may have gotten necessarily didn't make the Magic squad might make it to Wise or just be on Crossing or some other team that could use another guy, but this team is too stacked. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a good thing. So, as you can see, I have changed my attire. If you can't see, I now have on a NFL jersey with the matching snapback to go with it. Why do I have this on? Let's see. What would give me a reason to wear an outfit that somebody might wear back in, like, say, 2000?
Yeah.
Now,
get into that country grammar.
I chose this particular hat and jersey combination not because of Nelly, who is from St. Louis, but because my Dion jersey, I no longer have the Atlanta Falcons hat, because it was a fitted, and it was a size 8 when I used to have dreadlocks. So I had to give it away. So I had to go with this one. One of my favorite running backs of all time, Mr. Marshall, MVP of the league, Falk. Mr. Underrated as one of the greatest running backs of all
time. How's he underrated?
Mr. Underrated as one of the greatest running backs of all time, Marshall Faulk.
Yeah, he is. I mean, if he's not 3, he's.
Oh, he's not 3 on nobody's list.
I mean, he should be.
He's not 3 on nobody's list. Nobody's putting Marshall Faulk number 3 on their list.
I wouldn't.
Exactly. We've had this conversation before. He's definitely not number 3 on people's list. He's number 3 on. He's number 3. He's actually number 2. He's number 3 on my favorite list. He's number 3 on behind Walter. He's my third favorite running back.
Man. He should be the top. He's a top 5 back. Right.
But
there's nobody.
One thing I had to say is I definitely got my DJ. DJ definitely set me straight because the guy who wore number 29, yeah, he was top 5. I had him top 10, but I could see why he could be top 5.
Yeah, Eric Dickerson is definitely a top 5 back.
But that far back though, top 10.
I mean, top 10 greatest running backs of all time isn't bad though. Like top 10 is not a disrespect. Like this is what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna make top 10 disrespectful.
Right.
Because when if I name 10 running backs that I think are top 10, it's not disrespectful. Now, we talking favorites? Yeah, he's top 10 because listen, I'm a Redskin fan, diehard. John Riggins is one of my favorite running backs of all time. John Riggins had one of the best playoff runs, one of the best Super Bowl performances of any running back. He was Riggo. So he's gonna always be up there for me. I don't expect other people who aren't Redskin fans to have him as, you know what I'm saying, even mention him. Like I don't think you would even mention him as a all-time great, even though he's a Hall of Fame running back. So it's all good. But anyways, that's not what we talk about today. We can talk about sports when it come back. We talking about tonight on Verzuz, Ludacris, you know what I'm saying, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, but came to fame as Mr. DJ Lover in Atlanta, Georgia. Moving on to
happening right now. We're recording while that's recording. It's happening.
That's perfectly fine because we're about to wrap up. But before we get out of here, we're gonna talk about the disrespect that Luda's catalog just got.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
We're gonna talk about the disrespect Luda. Listen, before I knew that they were even battling, I woke up and my social media feeds, Ludacris getting attacked. Oh, Ludacris don't have no classic albums. What? If you're not a Ludacris fan, then just say, oh, I don't like Ludacris. But don't tell me that you like Ludacris and then say he don't have no classic albums. It's impossible for you to say it. Because if you like Luda, then that means when you got back for the first time, you would play that bitch from the beginning to the end. If you was a Luda fan, when you got word of mouth, you played that bitch from the beginning to the end. And it was regular rotation. Word of mouth, then it went to Chicken and Beer. Beginning to end. You played all 3 of those albums beginning to end. That was a class. That's what it comes to again. Just about when we had before. We gotta fine tooth comb it and point it out. What makes a classic album? What is it? What is a hit record? What is a classic record? What's a banger? Like we need to have people who have defined definitions of what these things are before we go having conversations. Because what's happening is 2 things are happening. One, you are disrespecting somebody's legacy. If you saying you're a Ludacris fan, but you say, oh, he has no classic albums, he don't have this, he don't have that, you are disrespecting a great rapper's legacy. And then secondly, what you end up doing in defense of him, same thing with DMX. What you end up doing is now you have to sort of defend them against somebody else's. So now you're not just bigging Ludacris up or bigging DMX up. Now you got to start trying to chip away at other people to sort of elevate them. I'm not into doing that. I want to celebrate all my black people who are winning. Period. I want to celebrate them all. So I want to celebrate Nelly. Even though Nelly, it is funny because at the time people didn't take Nelly seriously. So I mean you didn't take him seriously, but now he's got classic albums.
Nelly does not
I
have
think his Country Grammar album was a good album, but I didn't think Nellyville was the greatest album. It had a couple joints on there, but
And that was his best album.
Right? Whereas Ludacris had 3 classic albums, and then after the classic albums, he kept putting out records that had hits on them. But I think the biggest thing for Ludacris is that, like, after that 3rd album is when he really got into acting. So he started picking up acting roles, and he started, life change. So he started, the effort wasn't there. Like, there was a obvious distraction from that normal groove, but he was still giving you hits.
Absolutely. I had to clear my
so
I can do this.
I have to log off. I have to get out of here. We listen. It's a beautiful thing. This versus battles. I'm a big fan of it. So we gonna sign off, and then after that, I'm gonna log back on, and I'm gonna have a recap on the Nelly versus Ludacris, and I'm opening it up to the forums, and anybody who listening, anybody who want to get on, we can talk about it. But hey, fellas, you on the ride up. Y'all have a good one.
All right.
One.
All right,